Now, this meeting has been on the cards for a long time, for months now. While the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has a long old friendship with his US counterpart, Benjamin Netanyahu is visiting Joe Biden for the first time since he came to power. Now, in spite of all this, all did not seem well, as this New York visit for Benjamin Netanyahu was engulfed by a chorus of judicial overhaul protests. We tell you more in this report.
Benjamin Netanyahu's diplomatic dry spell with the US has come to an end. The Israeli Prime Minister finally got a chance to sit down with his old friend Joe Biden. Israel and Saudi's normalization ties was high on the agenda for both leaders.
I think that under your leadership, Mr. President, we can forge a historic peace between Israel and Saudi Arabia. And I think such a peace would go a long way, first to advance the end of the Arab-Israeli conflict, achieve reconciliation between the Islamic world and the Jewish state, and advance a genuine peace between Israel and the Palestinians. This is something within our reach.
But as Netanyahu speaks of regional reconciliation, a domestic crisis plagues his own country. Protests against judicial overhaul have marred the democratic conditions of Israel to such an extent that Joe Biden made sure to bring it up with his longtime ally.
I think without Israel, there's not a Jew in the world that's secure. I think Israel is essential. And I look forward to discussing all of this with you and working together with your team to fulfill those.
Joe Biden is not the only one who's pushing Netanyahu to uphold the democratic values in his country. From the moment he boarded his plane, to the minute he stepped foot in the United States, the Israeli leader's visit has been shadowed by protests. While two old friends held their long overdue meeting, demonstrators thronged the streets of New York and California.
We are fighting to make sure that Israel identity is not changing from a liberal democracy into a messianic theocracy. When Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government, which elected them legitimately, are changing the rules of law, and want to diminish the judiciary, it means that we are going to turn into a dictatorship. So we Israeli Americans and Jewish Americans are standing by our brothers and sisters in the hundreds of thousands who take in the streets to make sure that Israel stays democracy.
I came out because I love Israel. I've spent much time there, and I want it to be a democratic country, and I fear that with what Netanyahu is trying to do, that it is going to lapse into non-democracy.
Joe Biden has extended a state visit invite to Israel's leader, promising to host him at the White House before the year's end. But in no uncertain terms, Washington's message is clear to Netanyahu. Protect the democratic values of Israel. Even though the Prime Minister may have scored a diplomatic point, the unrest back home shows no signs of slowing down. The far-right leader is at the epicenter of a litmus test. How far does he go to curtail judicial powers in his own country? Will it play a major role in shaping his image as a global leader, more so as the poster boy of peace and normalization in West Asia?